oh my God, there's almost like 10 eyes that I'm seeing that are all you. And all I see, now I'm seeing the old soul that you're describing.
It sounds woo-woo and weird, but it's also the same thing when you get like a song lyric in your head if you're a songwriter, or
absolutely.
if you get an idea to write a piece. It comes to you in frequency and then you have to like go grab the thought.
Yes.
The thoughts in the head are programmed in there. Like for example, in Kabbalah, they call it your personal trainer. It's the voice that is embedded in you. It's inside you, and it's going to always tell you to do the opposite of what showing up as the light would have you do.
I want to talk to you about aliens.
There's so many different versions of what you could call aliens.
Totally.
Telepathy anyway is like becoming so much more of a common thing, and I think people just don't necessarily even know when they're doing it, especially with the new paradigm coming in. Like telepathy is just going to be like a base level thing that we just take for granted.
It's kind of like soul groups, and we're lucky enough to meet a lot of those souls in this lifetime.
Hey guys, it's Jordan Younger, your host of the Balanced Blonde Soul on Fire podcast. Here we go deep on all things astrology, awakening, wellness, motherhood, channeling, aliens, and so much more. We have deep conversations. We go to other realms. It's a lot of fun. So stick around. Let's dive on in. I cannot wait to connect.
The specificity of these things is like he's pulled on like myth and like old stories and all the different modalities. And he read me mine and he said mine was augury. And augury is not prophecy, but it's being able to, like, if you're that close to the present moment, you can see omens of the future based on what's in the current moment.
Whoa.
Yes.
And that is so you.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
And I'd
that
literally
is so
written,
you.
Isn't that mad? And 2 days before I was at Shabbat and I'd written down like, this is actually what I like totally realized, like this is what I've always been able to do is like see the future, and like it's prophecy, but prophecy to me is now like sensing the next moment in this moment, like because you're that radically present. I'd written that down in Shabbat because Shabbat, like I had a message about that. And then he said it to me 2 days later and I was like, gosh, I really need to own like this whole, and I was messaging about the Oracle thing.
Yes,
like the last couple of days it all just like
happening.
folded.
Oh my God.
Insane. But
oh my
he's
gosh.
on enough, and I'm telling you, like everything that came out of this man's mouth was like,
I can't wait to listen. When does it come out?
Thursday.
Oh, good. So when people listen to this, they can also know that they can go tune into that. Oh my God.
When I'm telling you, you'd love him. Like,
no,
I'll
absolutely.
connect you.
I want to
because
meet
he's
him.
Another level.
So a question that I have, because I don't actually know that much about the gene keys, but I know, like you said, it's the 64 gates that are also in human design. So is this something that he...
Oh wait, are we recording already?
Yeah, we can just pick up.
Great.
We can just pick up anywhere. My question is, does he... Because I know human design was like downloaded into Ra's head.
Mm-hmm.
So did Richard Rudd have the same type of download, and that's why he was able to translate it to the gene keys? Or did he just understand it on such a deep level?
So, you know, he trained with Ra and they were like really close friends for I don't know how long, like until Ra basically passed away 15 years ago. But Richard had I guess like a spontaneous, like one day woke up and then was in like a multiple day sort of revelation where all the gene keys like basically came to him. But it wasn't just the gene keys. He downloaded like so many other, I guess it was a spontaneous awakening of sorts where he saw the light and it just taught him all this stuff. And then he had to basically like write it down. But I think the stuff that was downloaded into him that day was like way more than the gene keys.
Oh my God.
I know.
In one day. And then does he just like remember it and tap back into it? Because how could he get it all down?
I
mean, I love this. It's like Manesh and the Sphinx Code, which the listeners now know because he talked a little bit about that on the show. And it was kind of the same thing where he got together with a group of other shamans and they downloaded into their heads the Sphinx Code, which is like a whole different, you know, tarot and all the things.
You know, it sounds woo-woo and weird, but it's also the same thing when you get like a song lyric in your head if you're a songwriter, or
absolutely.
if you get an idea to write a piece. And you know when you like, it comes to you in frequency and then you have to like go grab the thought.
Yes.
That's all they're doing.
Yeah,
they're just doing it in
it.
like a big way. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
You're
We're all
right.
doing it all the time.
I know. And I think it has a lot to do with our souls and where we came from before we were here. Because on some plant medicine journeys, and here you are with your face shape shifting. I have seen, I know, like beyond.
I know because your eyes get funny when
when you see
shape
like,
shifting. I'm like, there she
you're
goes
so
again.
right. It's like so fuzzy, and it always happens extra under these lights. It's just like it amplifies everything. You would think it wouldn't because of like the cameras and everything, but it does. So yes, you're shape-shifting. And on some plant medicine journeys, I have seen people as in their past lives, like a music note or like living in the vibration of what music is. And I feel like in this life, that's the musicians. And then there's the writers and there's the channels and the oracles and the medicine people and like anything that someone has such a talent for, I think is because they came from that consciousness. That's just my thought.
Wow. So when you saw Manesh's shapeshift, his face shift,
oh
what did
my
you see?
God. I had to actively try so hard for the whole room to not dissolve and he was doing it, you know him, like the moment that I said that I see him shapeshifting and he could feel it, he was like playing with that energy. So suddenly it's just like, phew, and it was many, 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 many souls coming through him. His whole entire parallel lives, parallel dimensions, past lives, all of his selves. And he was just laughing because I'm like, you're making it so hard to be in the room. And he's like, I know. But again, it brought me back to the ceremony that we did with him and the telepathy that we all had, which I'll never forget. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Like, and also, did you have that experience of being in my thoughts? Because I had the experience of being in yours.
100%. It's a crazy thing. I don't know if anyone has ever, and maybe you don't even need to have, you don't even need to be under the influence of anything to experience this, but it's like you kind of know because it's an area of thought that you don't go to often. Like it doesn't sound like the way you think. And it's like really weird to remember that you kind of walk around assuming that all human beings are like the same and they think the same as you, or they think the same ways as you, or the same even thought paths as you, but they don't. And it's kind of amazing to realize like, oh, this is my like geolocator. It's like, I know when I'm having thoughts that are mine. But since then I've had I feel like telepathy anyway is like becoming so much more of a common thing. And I think people just don't necessarily even know when they're doing it. But it's like that thing when, you know, a transmission comes down and then you try to grab it. It's like we're both going into that world of transmission instead of just words. And we're kind of both like connecting on a thread and then we can switch in that thread. I do it with people I'm really close to now all the time. You know, my sister and I, people on my team, you when I'm with you, especially when I'm closer with you. And I feel like the thing about telepathy is it almost needs to come off a pedestal because right now, and it's amazing, like the telepathy tapes, what it did to kind of make it more, you know, potential for people. But I feel like it's, especially with the new paradigm coming in, like telepathy is just going to be like a base level thing that we just take for granted. Like flying was so like alien of a concept to our great grandparents and now it's normal. It's just an inner technology rather than an outer technology. But even the outer technology started on the inner technology. Someone had to invent it.
Totally.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, you're so right.
So telepathy is going to be normal. And the more people realize that those things are going to be normal and not like only for special people, then the more normal they're going to become.
You're so right. You're so right. Did you listen to the telepathy tapes?
I didn't.
Oh, you would love it.
Really?
It's so cool. And I feel like it takes even telepathy to the next level because yes, there is telepathy, but these kids, these nonverbal autistic children, which is who the telepathy tapes are about, they go to this place called the Hill, and the Hill is where they all convene, and one of them could be in Oklahoma and one of them could be in Australia, and they go to the Hill and they hang out with each other. And then they will later tell their parents, well, they're nonverbal, so they use like typing into a device to talk to their parents, that they were with this person. And then the parents will later find the parents of that person. And it's all so real. So a lot of people who've listened to the telepathy tapes try to go to the Hill. But the consciousness there is very sacred because it's for these kids. And so there's like keepers of the Hill. And if you have really good energy and pure intentions, they'll let you in. So I haven't tried. I don't even think it's my place to try to go to the Hill. But if I ever wanted to, I do think it's like such an it's just so interesting.
Wow.
And yeah, I can't wait for the day that telepathy is just so common that, yeah, people don't have to second guess. Is that real? Do we believe that person when they're saying that they're telepathic? But it's so real. How many times have you and I had, well, every day we have the parallel, and just parallel experiences that we're always having, which I feel is so telepathic.
Yeah, what do you think that is? Like, why? I often think about this because I'm like, we're all going through the same thing collectively, but then there's different stories within that. And are there like certain soul groups that go through like even more similar things than what the rest of the world is going through?
I think so.
Do you?
I do. I think that's the gift. The greatest gift in this life is to find those people, those friendships that are like soulmate kind of family, soul family, where we're traveling together and we're having these super parallel experiences. Because for everyone listening, Jenna and I, it's become almost like a common catchphrase of ours where it's like we're paralleling. Like we are very often, not always, but very often going through the same lessons at the same time, or the same growing pains at the same time, or transformations, and maybe they show up differently. Yeah. But then we talk about it with each other. And at least from you, I always gain so much wisdom where I'm like, oh, she put words to something that I didn't think anyone else felt. And so I do think it's kind of like groups, soul groups, and we're lucky enough to meet a lot of those souls in this lifetime and go through life together. And it's such a blessing.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because it just, for me anyway, it's the one thing that makes me feel less alone in this world. And I think I would say it's like an existential loneliness where, and maybe some of your listeners can relate, where if you just have not felt like a lot of other people and you feel like you don't have a lot in common, or they can't relate or you can't relate in a way that is, you know, you'd be scared, and this is so your audience will understand this so much, is like, you know, you'd be scared to say certain things that you think about because those are not normal, quote unquote, normal things to think about. And there's something so refreshing because I think that's the sort of inner opponent in all of our heads, whether it's spiritual things or whether it's crazy things or whether it's mental health or whether it's fantasies that you have, right? Whatever, or your biggest dreams you feel like you sometimes can't share. The gift, I guess, now is that there's not necessarily anyone who's thinking the exact same thing as you necessarily all the time, but there's such a healing in just airing it anyway, because there will always be something that someone can relate to, even if it's not the exact same thing. And I think we have to really watch at this moment in time, especially, that people don't let that inner opponent convince them into saying that you're the only one who's living this like unique experience, that all other humans are the same way except you. You know what I mean?
Totally.
For whatever voice it takes to show that, whether it's specialness or not enoughness or too spiritual, too creative, too artsy, too wacky, too out there, whatever your thing is, like, just don't let that be the reason why. Because every single time you air something with a good intention, right? Not to kind of out of ego, but just genuinely like lay yourself out. I do think that life is always going to jump to show you that you're not the only one. You're not alone in this. You're always more held. You're always more with more likeness. But sometimes people just need someone else to go first and share that they're going through that thing.
Totally. No, it's so beautiful. And I feel like that's just something we all do as humans. We feel, or at least I fall into this trap of always feeling like, even if it's subconscious, like no one else must have ever felt this. And so it's my own battle. But then when you speak it, and the people who get you in your soul family, soul group, and even the people who haven't experienced it, like you said, they can relate to a part of it where they're like, yeah, I do that too in my life in this totally different way. But then I do feel like it's such a blessing to find people who go through it in a similar fashion with similar things. Because then it's just like, wow, what a mirror, what a reflection, and the reflector is reflecting, and it's just such a gift. And for example, I was thinking about that before you came here, because we talked about this. I mean, Jenna and I are always in some sort of deep conversation via voice message, or when we're lucky enough to be in person together. And we were talking, maybe it was a couple days ago, just about like, yeah, there are things that are hard for me personally, like showing up in the world like I think other people do, and having the energy to sit and do a bunch of podcasts or go socialize for a bunch of hours. And it's like, why can't I do that? And so I started to feel so bad about myself. And then we were talking and I said something like, why would I want to be like everybody else though? Because the alternative is the reason why it's so hard for me is because I have these gifts and I'm seeing people's faces shapeshift and it's so cool, yet it makes it hard to be in the room. And I was thinking about that before you came here because I was doing a previous podcast before this. Her face was shapeshifting. My soul was floating all around the room and I was just doing that thing where I'm thinking, why is it so hard for me to be here? Why is it so hard for me to be here? It seems so easy for her. Like she's so grounded, but she's also so spiritual. And why can I not be grounded? And anyways, just kind of tapping into why do we always compare ourselves to other people? And why do we always think that it must be better to be like the other person when the only option that we have is to be ourselves? So why do we not just embrace it?
Yeah. I think it's because that's the thoughts in the head are programmed in there. Like for example, in Kabbalah, they call it, it's like your personal trainer. So it's the voice that is embedded in you. It's inside you. So it's going to go with you everywhere you go. And it's going to always tell you to do the opposite of what showing up as the light would have you do. So what does it want you to do? It wants you to feel separate. It wants you to feel different. It wants you to not see yourself as gifted. It wants you to not celebrate your uniqueness. And it's the best spin doctor that there is. It knows how to get around all the corners. It knows how to use even your greatest accomplishments to make you feel separate, to make you not do it again, to make you not try and outdo yourself, to make you more competitive with others, to judge other people for not doing what you've done. It can come up with limitless, trust me, it has limitless ways of doing that to you, but it's anything that's convincing you to not be like the light. And being like the light is obviously showing up in a way in the world that is as an ambassador of the light, but it's also seeing the divine within you, right? So you're walking around mistaking, because instead of being like in reverence of that gift you've been given in this life and like you have it on loan and you could be like so preciously looking after it, you're like, something wrong with me, you know? And so that's how the inner opponent shows up in your being, in your psyche. And that doesn't mean that anything is wrong with us. That's the thing that we actually have to overcome, and how lucky that it never leaves us. We know exactly where to find it, and it's in here.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. A question I have for you that's just coming up, because you're just so wise and you're so tapped in. Have you always been this way? And obviously we're so close, and I'm sure I've asked you this before, but it's coming at me right now. Were you like an 8-year-old who was having these existential conversations? Oh, I wish we would have been friends. I wish we would have known each other. Oh my gosh.
So it's funny that you said 8, because I remember when I was 8 years old, I said to my sister, we were talking about my mom or something, like, you know, she was 6 and I was 8. And I remember turning around to her and saying, but they're just our parents. They're still humans, though. They don't know everything.
What was Sophia like? What?
I don't know. I think she was just like, okay, what is this
whatever
person
you
just
said?
But I do think, and I think we all have wisdom in us. I just think that I've now got better words to express it, so it doesn't have to like fester in me and become frustration. I feel like words are my outlet. Words always have been. And I just feel like now I have enough like developed toolboxes of things to kind of use as frame of references. You know what I mean? So you can like use a frame of human design. You can use a frame of Kabbalah. You can use a frame of astrology. And those things in themselves are not, and so on and so forth. And those things in themselves are not the ultimate truth. Richard Rudd put it to me a way when I talked to him yesterday, which is like, they all just go in your toolkit. When you first get into the spiritual world, you use one thing as the everything.
Totally.
And he said that you use it as the strategist. Like, if I do this, then I'm going to get what I want. And you're like doing a strategy with it. And then you get into like more modalities and you're like, but is it this? Or is it this? Or is it this? But what about this? And da, da, da. And you're kind of in that necessary confusion stage. And then you get out the other side. And he's like, the first one is like 70%. I'm butchering it. And like 20% is the all the things. And then the 10% is when you're like, oh, I see them all and I know when to pull out each one when I need it. So I just feel so lucky that I have like all these frame of references that I can say to you like, oh, Jupiter's in Cancer right now, and you kind of understand instead of me trying to have to like figure out that thing.
Totally.
But I did always feel like a really, really, like you, like a really old soul and was never felt like a kid. Soul. Yeah.
Totally. I can just see you as an 8-year-old kid saying that about your parents. It's just so you, and it's so your essence and your soul. And I just like, I see it. Like the timeline is collapsing and I'm seeing it and it's so cute. And before we go on to the next topic, because I have like 10 million things I want to say, I have to describe what I'm seeing with the shape shifting. Because since it's you, I can actually go into the details. So it's cool that you're sitting over there because behind you are these like black and white hexagons. Do I have that behind me? Yes, I do. And so behind you with like all of the black hexagons, this is going to sound so crazy. I'm seeing your face in all of those places. So I feel like when I'm looking at you, I can see there's almost, oh my God, there's almost like 10 eyes that I'm seeing that are all you. So it's like the third eye, but also way up to past the crown chakra and beyond. And then you've just opened all of your veils. So now you're completely dissolving. And all I see, now I'm seeing the old soul that you're describing. It's the ancient version of you that exists eternally with every lifetime. And she's right here. Wow. Oh my God, she's so wise. She literally has long gray white hair. It's so beautiful. And something about you is that your energy, like now that I'm like in the field, is so pure and so clean. Like you are someone who really, like you really walk the walk and you live this, which I know, but it's really cool to actually see that reflected in the energy field.
Thank you. It means a lot to me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I feel like that's the most important thing in this world is to keep your consciousness clean.
You know? Yeah, it was hard to do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so crazy. I feel like I'm back on this planet. That's so weird. It all dissolved and now we're here. I get to time travel a little bit with you. That was really fun. Oh my gosh. It's hard though. And how do you feel like you keep your consciousness so clean?
You know, I think let's say for example, life has 100 different ways, micro every day that could tempt you even 1 degree off. And this is, by the way, this is where I really feel like we are now, right? Like as a collective, we've already had like, we are having, let's say, Me Too. We are having us collectively saying racism is not okay, injustice is not okay, abuse is not okay. Like those things are coming up and they're by no means done, right? But I'm glad that those are already getting like a big part of, they're just coming up to the surface to be cleaned out. The important thing though is for us to all understand that therefore that means we're at a next level now. We are in refinement stage. Refinement stage is the things that we do that take us 1 degree off and we can't afford to go 1 degree off our path anymore. So am I going to post this because I want people to think well of me because I have a low self-esteem day? Am I going to post this, but is it going to make someone else feel lack? And that's that's why they're going to buy what I'm selling. That's why they're going to buy this makeup or this course or this whatever. Or even if you're not, an influencer, like, am I going to post this picture of my baby bump because I just want to feel like I'm a mom that belongs in my community and I want to do what what the done thing is here, right? Like small stuff like that. And so I think that keeping your consciousness clean is like, not that you won't ever have the temptations, because the temptations are the test. That's how we overcome them, and overcoming them is how we overcome our inner darkness, for want of a better word. And so they're the things that help us do our becoming. But it's like being on watch for just being completely unforgiving for the little things that you still entertain that you just won't be able to. And by 2027, you will regret every time that you have when you knew better.
Oh my God.
So that's the key now is like, and if you don't know what to do, just do nothing. Just do nothing. That's the restriction, right? And there's so much power and light in that restriction. So nowadays, like every time you notice, like even if there's only 5% in the whole overall intention of doing something that isn't for the right reason, just take that intention out and do it with the rest of the 95% intention and just reset and say, I'm doing this to share. I'm doing this to give of myself. I'm doing this to be of service, or I'm doing this to express myself. I'm doing this to love myself, whatever it is, but never from that manic place of trying to fill a hole or just trying to do something with your time. Because guaranteed, if it's not proactively chosen and it's of the light, it's probably going to be less than that. And so why bother adding that to the cumulus of all the things that are the demonstration of who you were in this world on your path. Like, don't even add that to your docket, you know?
Totally. Oh, that's such good tips. It's hard. It's hard for an impulsive person, I would say, because I'm super impulsive. And specifically because we're talking about posting and everything. And I've been, well, probably everyone listening, been using social media for like 13, 15 years. And so it becomes impulsive to just want to kind of like say something.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is giving me a lot to think about. I absolutely love this.
And if it helps, because I know a lot of people are like, okay, well, either that's me too, because I do it on social media, but also it was going to find you in whatever you do regularly, you know, to give some relief. Like if you're an activist, like even the most noble paths, right? Of course, your darkness is going to find you wherever you are.
Yeah.
And it's going to hide in the places where you justify it as being all good. So I don't want to know.
Totally.
I don't want to know where I'm going wrong because look how much good I'm doing for the world, right? So even if you check the news every single day and you're an activist and you might want to get triggered or heightened by every single negative thing, well, no, every single new thing that you address has to be addressed with fresh eyes, and you have to be on guard with yourself and your own intentions. Like, are you going to die on every hill? No. And that doesn't mean maybe 99% of those hills are correct for you, or maybe 10% of those hills are. It just matters that you're on watch and you're really looking out for like, why am I doing this? Like, am I doing this to be right? Am I doing this to show myself that I'm not like my family, who I judge as being not conscious or not, you know, interested in the world or don't care about other people? Whatever the thing is, like, we have to go and just like cleave this stuff now, you know? That's what I think is keeping our consciousness clean, is like, if I do something that is of the least bit not what I know I'm totally capable of, I try to hold myself up to that standard. It doesn't matter if I fail, at least I'm watching.
Totally. And 2027, why 2027?
So in the Human Design Prophecy, which I first made a video about the new paradigm in 2018.
Yes, you did. You're the first person I ever heard about that from.
Yeah. So Ra, who was the person who channeled the human design information, at that time, what was downloaded was not only the actual human design, i.e. the design of a human, the map of someone's aura, which is what most of us think human design is. There's a whole cosmology in how the universe began in his human design, in his download, and also the whole of how time would unfold. And so one of the things that is part of that is that we go through these eras as humanities, and we go from one era to the next, and they're big shifts in our collective. And that the one that began in 1615 would be coming to an end in 2027. And so what happens when eras change is that all that is not of the highest that we have built in this current era has to come to the surface or be at its kind of like most heightened expression, so that we all see it for what it is and hopefully leave it behind before we go into the new era. And the new era is so much more bifurcated in a way, because right now you can either choose to still do things the current way, and it's going to be very easy because it's still acceptable and you still get away with it, and it still gives you all these rewards that the world currently puts on a pedestal and thinks is great, right? But the era is going to shift so fast and so unemotionally and so non-dramatically. It's almost going to be like, we're going to wake up one day, but it's not going to be one day. It's going to be a series of waking up one days. And all of a sudden, this thing that you thought was so important to orient your life towards is gone. So all the energy that you were putting towards it counted for nothing, unless it was totally authentic to you, unless it was a true part of your lasting soul, in which case you might be a part of the small percentage for whom that thing from the old paradigm carries on and is a newer, higher form of itself, right? But if you were contorting and performing and overly spending time thinking about stuff that is no longer important, or things that you still clung on to, like a family structure or a university structure or a financial structure or an investing, persona of yours or an expert persona of yours, anything that is not the lasting true thing because of what you thought it used to have to give you is not going to survive anymore. And so you can, right now, because we're in the very tail end, when the old shiny carrots are going to cling on to us the hardest that they possibly can, right before they die off, right, is when they're at their heightenedest. That's the resistance now, is that if you keep your consciousness clean and you know exactly what your intention behind doing everything is, then you will pop out of the old paradigm and be ready for the new paradigm to come in. But here's the trick. Can you jump before the new paradigm appears? And that's why it's brave.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking so many things right now. One thing I'm thinking is, how do you feel this is showing up for you with, transitioning from the old paradigm to the new. And it's hard, right? Because there's growing pains.
There's a lot of things. One, because I am so, I guess one of my shiny carrots is I love, and it's authentic if it's done right, is I love helping the people that I'm close to. Again, it's not all right or wrong. It's that there's darkness hidden in that, meaning that if I'm not careful, I can overinvest a lot of my own time and energy to building up my own timeline and soul's expression in the work that I came here to leave behind, into somehow sometimes thinking that I praise myself more for elevating someone else's path than I do for elevating my own. And so the universe right now, just to be totally honest, is giving me a lot of tests because a lot of people I know personally are in it, as we all are, and struggling. And for me, it's therefore it's making my shiny carrots almost impossible, because I'm able to see now that I can't even get high off helping them one time, because they need like a series of helps that they need to become their own hero of their own life. And so me and my sister call it eating the space, where I don't know what to do with all that time I was spending on that.
Right.
And it kind of feels like an ego death, because it's not as exciting to just sit and not intervene or not be there 24/7, calling people, messaging people, texting people, sending people. And I'm just like, oh, it's gone, and I don't know what it's replacing it with. And I don't feel the ego high of, being kind, because my biggest fear is being evil. And so I'm not getting high off disproving my old story, which is that I might be evil. And so all of that cortisol and that adrenaline is out of my life. But when you get off that high, like coming off a drug, it's like death. It's like you feel like there's no excitement, there's no emotional charge, there's nothing there. And so the challenge, we call it eating the space, because it's like, okay, universe, give me the space, and just give me all the space, and I'm just going to keep on eating the space. Wow. And so you see, it's not as obvious as the ones that are obvious to kind of point out are the sort of like posting on social media or the whatever. But you kind of have to know exactly, like so insidiously, where it gets you. And it's opened up so much space in my life. And of course, I'm seeing glimmers of like amazing things that have come in, but I can't say that the space has like been rushed to be filled. And I know that it's not going to be filled until 2027. So I have to be in this immediate space of like, no, I'm still devoted to overcoming my egoic highs in the meantime, even if nothing else comes in.
My brain is exploding. One, because parallel. I relate to everything you're saying, not to take your beautiful, eloquent story as my own, but I relate to that, and I do that too. And it's also helping me realize that is more of an egoic high than always being kind. And I do think, similarly, I've been shown, not to literally repeat everything you just said, helping people, and then realizing too, like it wasn't just helping. It's like now they're very reliant, and again, nothing wrong with them for that, but I am totally turning my back on what it means to actually have time to work on what I came here to do, which is a me thing. So that's wild.
And it comes down, it's so funny with human design, because the more I realize how literal it is, and the more time goes on, the more I fall in love with it, because it's just so literal, meaning they haven't invited me, and yet I am using them to get myself high.
Yeah.
When I haven't been invited.
Right. Yeah. Ultimate projector lesson. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I think about, hold on a second, I'm actually pulling them into my high. So I'm taking them away from their journey, their own cosmic curriculum, that I don't need to. The divine has got them. They're on their timeline. They're on the perfect timeline. Actually, the best thing I can do for them is not pull them into a story, because then they're free to sit with their own thing. And if everyone was free to like really, really devote ourselves to our own transformation, it does bleed out because of frequency. Because it does transform people. And because then when, someone does want your help with something, they can ask, and they know to ask, and you trust that they'll ask. But not because I'm being like, oh my God, no, it means I'm definitely not evil, because look how many people I'm helping. But if I'm just helping myself, it's not a high.
Right, right. No, it's much more it's much less exciting to sit in your own work every day and slowly chip away at what you came here to be and what you came here to create.
Yeah.
So true.
And that's why spirituality is not, I know we look for it to be this like rainbows and unicorns, but it is that quiet devotion that is unexciting, that is more peaceful, that is giving you a high that is not as adrenalizing or jazz handsy, you know, but overcoming yourself is that chopping wood and carrying water.
Yeah.
And so us helping us wanting to, you know, me wanting to help everyone I know who's going through a struggle personally, again, because that's a gift, but that's a gift that I am supposed to give in a different way, which is like to the people that I serve, people who've actually connected with me because they are inviting it, because they want to know, not because of whatever my own stories. But that is not more moral or less of a bad egoic thing than someone who is addicted to the ego of making other people jealous, or someone who's overly shallow, or someone who drinks a lot, or someone who overly parties to run and numb. Like it's still running and numbing. And that's where we have to be that honest with ourselves and say, that's just my form. I don't need to judge other people's version of running and numbing. Let me just stalk mine and take care of that one. Which comes back to what you said about like, it's just harder to do your own.
It is. It's so much harder. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that I saw into your clean energy field so that we could have this conversation. Unreal. Because these are so many gems that I will be listening back to. So something else I want to talk to you about, aliens. Because the last time you were on this podcast, you really probably...
Was that the last time?
Well...
Wow.
Didn't believe in
4
aliens.
years ago? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was close to 3 years ago, I think, was the last time. Because it was right when I signed with Dear Media and you were my first guest in the studio.
Wow.
So probably the last time you were on the podcast, but definitely since the last time we publicly talked about it.
Yeah.
You were very like, you know, not into the alien thing, which a lot of people aren't. And now your eyes have been opened to alien things. And you got to tell us.
There's so many different versions of what you could call aliens.
Totally.
And I never ever believed that there would be physical things that... I never used to believe that, you know, when people would talk about, you know, blue beings like coming and doing surgery in the night, or alien visitations, or having a spaceship come and, you know, pick them up and
Galactic
blah, blah, blah.
Federation. Totally.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And I think honestly, like a bit of it was fear. Because I just don't want to live in a world where something like that could be happening and be totally random. And that doesn't mean I still don't know if it's right or wrong, and no one does. Like, that's the thing. Even a person that believes in God, person that doesn't, no one. We just don't know. So all we can say is just to be totally vulnerable with what our beliefs are and how, you know, how we feel, why we feel, you know, when we feel them. So I think I was always just like, I just don't want to live in a world where that's true. And I also just don't think that that's real. You know, I just don't, and maybe because it just simply hasn't happened to me. But what I have always felt, and I'd be interested to see if, I think I remember saying it on that podcast, we were in that room as well. I believe in other energies and other dimensions. And so if you count aliens, that was what was changed for me, is if you count aliens as beings from other frequencies or dimensions, non-physical beings. And honestly, the mushrooms did it for me too, because that's when I sort of accessed you kind of become aware of other dimensions. That's actually probably when it kicked it off for me, is doing a ceremony, 3 ceremonies since then, is accessing the part of you that is in other dimensions, and then kind of understanding that God, the universe, the divine, has this family of children that it creates. And obviously it would want to create in all different sorts of forms, right? It would want to create 10th dimensional forms and 3rd dimensional forms and 2nd dimensional, because they all help each other and they all get, it's like symbiotic. They all get beautiful things from each other. And so that was like kind of one thing that I sort of like crystallized since then. And then I was like, okay, I see that, and having conversation with like my brother and stuff about like, what is an alien and who believes in aliens? Like,
I remember he was kind of like super intrigued by all the starseed stuff and probably knows a lot.
Fascinated. And he was like, well, if you don't believe in aliens, like how, I remember this conversation. He was like, but like, do you believe that Jordan is Canadian? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, why is that not an alien? And I was like, well, it's different because like it's not like she's not like coming down and like, you know, coming on her ship and blah blah blah. But then he was like, you know, when you try to define what you think in, again, words, it helps a lot. And so I was like, well, I just think she's not originally from here. Like she's not necessarily a human. And then I sort of realized like my existential pain is always like feeling like I just don't understand the rules of what it is to be here when everyone else seems to. And maybe again, that's my inner opponent, but maybe it's also the fact that I think that a lot of us saw this planet being in a lot more, I think this is the Dark Ages. Let's just put it that way. This is the Dark Ages on planet Earth. And of course, we would see the Dark Ages as being the most advanced time when we're in it just because we have phones and we can fly. But like in terms of the consciousness and in terms of how much better the technology can be, this is like way behind. Like way behind. And all the separation and the wronging and how hard it is to even just like put food on the table for your kids, even in developed countries, even for those of us who consider ourselves to be lucky amongst other people. Like life has a lot of obstacles, right? So the planet is suffering, right? And if you think about having this family of energies that the cosmos has housed, then it would make sense that symbiotically there would be help being sent, and there would be people who would volunteer out of love for these brothers and sisters to come here, and whether come here now in this incarnation for the first time, or whether come here for the first time in a previous life as an ancient Egyptian, and then, you know, your parents, you have kids that are then semi-human because you are a Pleiadian and you have a kid with a human, and then your kids become half and half, and then their kids become a quarter, and so on and so forth. So I do think we are a mix of a wider family who've just crossbred, like me being half Indian, half English. It's no different. Totally. And I can't say that I, you know, ascribe to, well, there's a system of knowing what percentage you are, or, you know, that kind of thing. But I do think that we are held and protected and loved and walking amongst people who aren't just human. And so if you feel like you don't fully feel like you're from here, like you or I do, there's a potential that that's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this. And that's why, words are so interesting. And I know we talk about this all the time with language, because the word alien, it can be a little off-putting, and it can be a little, we're thinking about the movies, the ET, extraterrestrials, seeing a little gray person walking around in here, that would be shocking, even to me, who's obsessed with all things alien. But when I started thinking of aliens and describing aliens as anything other than human, then I was like, okay, well, that opens up a whole other world, because I do think we know what's out there. There's other planets, there's other universes, there's so much parallel dimensions. We can't be the only thing. And there can't be humans everywhere. I mean, they've all evolved differently. And I feel the Pleiadians and the starseeds and the Andromedans and all of them are, I mean, I think they've been around for so much longer than the humans. And I do think a lot of them have access to that technology that you're talking about, where we are so behind here. And that's why they're able to communicate with some of us, and they don't want to scare us. I think most of them are of a really high vibration, and they come with all that fifth dimensional love and harmony. And I also think that's what a lot of channels are tapping into. When Esther is tapping into Abraham Hicks, when, oh my gosh, so many of these kind of like groups of consciousnesses, because Abraham is a group, you know.
There's Bashar, there's
Seth, all of the originals.
Ellie Kolodny does some of that. You know her? She's amazing. So many people.
So many. And it's so fun. But I get why it's too much for a lot of people to digest, because it is a little scary. But I think when you open your mind to a different level with it, it's really not scary. It's like, there can be scary aliens, but there can be scary humans. And so we live on a planet where there's a lot of darkness and there's a lot of light. And so I think that happens everywhere. But I do think in the 5th dimension, the 7th dimension, I think there's more light than darkness.
Do you?
I do. I hope.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like I will go home there one day. And so I can only hope. But like you said, we don't know. We have our beliefs. We have our own communication with these different places. But we don't know. And every time I've asked any fantastic channel to please just tell me, because I don't like not knowing, what's going to happen after this and where is the time unfolding to? They're always like, well, first of all, any living person doesn't know. But second of all, they're like, the guides from the other side are saying, you're not supposed to know. And so don't even ask.
It's important because we don't want to break the game
that
is being here.
Yeah, I do think it could unravel someone's psyche, which I have had my psyche unraveled. So I know, like when you go so into that melting pot of dimensions. But that's a whole other conversation.
I also think though that death is you're still a point of awareness. You just don't have a body, but imagine still having eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's how I
totally
think about it anyway.
No, I do too.
Yeah,
I do. I think all of our ancestors have access to being here with us. So that brings me to my next topic, which is you are the oracle.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation we've been having just as this new paradigm arrives faster and more accelerated. What are we waiting for? What's holding us back with the gifts that we have with I think it's like stepping even further into the great unknown, which is a little scary because it's stepping away from the comforts of all this humanness that we have always had, or whatever humanness 3D stuff means to us. Tell us how that's showing up for you, because I see you stepping into your higher power every day, and everything that you've said, what you're trying to overcome and eating the space. I have seen that transform you. Wow, and now that you're talking about it, it all makes sense. That transformation I feel is so clear in everything you're doing.
Thank you.
In your work, in your aura.
Thank you. Well, I think that what was your question? Sorry.
I know. There I go. Oracle. You're stepping into.
So what are we I want people to know that they're so held. If you just focus on your inner transformation and you keep yourself up to the standard of being radically honest with yourself about why you're doing the things you're doing, you will be held. And your brain is not going to know why, and you don't know what that heldness is going to look or feel like, but it's going to come. You leap and the net's going to catch you. And anything that you give up is going to get replaced with a better version of itself. So it's not that, for example, if you are not, doing the showing up with your family the way you used to, or having the same relationship with money that you used to, and you're, giving something up, it's not that it's going to go away. It's that it will get replaced with a better version. But the better versions, you have to, that all the updated version of everything we currently have is coming in, and you have to log out of the old software in order to download the new one. That's the only way I can put it. And there's a little bit of a time lag, but it feels like a long time, but it's a breath according to eternity, right? So it's nothing scary. And it's your inner opponent is going to make you feel like you're losing, and that you're losing out, and that you're opting out of what everyone else still seems like is getting louder and better and even more tempting to stay in. And that's the work of the spiritual warrior, is to opt out even when you feel like you might be the only person on the edge of society who's going to, be brave enough to do this. But I think that's why the beauty of us talking about these things now is that for people to feel like they're not so alone, because like even me talking to you, it reaffirms my own boldness to do this. Or when I talk to Richard Rudd and hear about how it's showing up in his life that he's doing that, or Lacey and how it's showing up in her life and that's doing that, or Melissa Wood and how she's doing that, like everyone in their own way. And it's not just spiritual teachers. It's my sister who's an actress. It's my brother who's in politics. It's everybody that I speak to, but I only know that those people are going through their version of it because I speak about mine. And so in order to combat that sort of like going off on your own hero's journey and leaving the tribe, right? It's that, what's that thing they do in shamanism where you go up and you do like a silent, you go out into the woods for days.
Like a vision quest.
A vision quest, exactly. You have to do your own vision quest now.
Totally.
And it doesn't mean you're leaving the tribe forever. It means you're going off to devote, to get clear on what your soul's mission is here. I heard my Kabbalah teacher, Marcus Weston, say the most incredible thing to me the other day that I have to share here because it just took my breath away, Jordan. He said, to a soul, and I'll just give the context, which is what I think about often, is like when we get round to the other side, we want to know that we did the thing we were supposed to do here. We want to know that we actually like did ourselves proud and actually like fulfill the things we wanted to fulfill on, right? We just don't want to go, oh my God, I missed the memo the whole entire time I was there. And he said, to the degree that if a soul is doing things on this planet that are superficial and fluffy and a waste of time, and listen, I still scroll on my phone completely, right? So it's shades of gray. But he was like, if you're totally doing things that are unimportant to the soul, even if the world thinks that they're important, even if the world tells you they're important and they matter, right? Like if it's not aligned for me, if I had to become a florist today, it would be the hardest thing because I'd be like, no, but look what I'm doing and it's so noble, but it would still be wrong for me. It would still be a distraction to my soul's mission, right? If the most important thing for me to do was to have a child, if the most important thing for me to do was have a hard conversation with my uncle, who was an alcoholic, I'm making this up, but like, and I'm convincing myself that that's not important because I'm not tuned in enough to know. He says that that's almost like erasing your soul's journey in this record. And you are when you go to the upper world, you cannot find yourself. You are unrecognizable. Your name does not exist in the upper worlds.
Oh my God.
And so you get to the upper worlds and you won't even be able to locate yourself.
I love it, but I'm like, I love Jordan. I love Jenna. I want us all to locate all the details, but it's true because in many ways I envision we all kind of become one, like a drop in the ocean. Is that what he's saying? Or
he's saying that you're unfindable to yourself because you've gotten so far away from yourself in this world. Like let's say you're Jordan and you've been pretending to be
like that. I do like this. Okay, I'm seeing it.
You've been pretending to be Marvin this whole time. Yeah. You get up and you're like, where was I? Who am I?
The real me. Yeah.
I don't even know where to find myself in the upper world.
Yes.
Who was I?
Absolutely.
And I know it sounds like very doom and gloom, but it hit me so much because you want to be true to yourself in this existence.
And strip back all those layers so that you can become that real you. Totally. It reminds me on this planet. It reminds me again of plant medicine journeys because there are so many times, both with mushrooms, ketamine, and others, where I have just been speaking out loud, probably even to you in our ceremony. When I'm Jordan, I'm going to do this. And because I am back to that eternal self, or at least I feel. And so I've said to Jonathan so many times, oh, it's so funny when I'm Jordan does this, because it is so disassociated, this life, which has been so cool because that has also shown me, this like eternal soul that is so full and so different and certainly doesn't care about social media and doesn't know what that is. And all of these other things that, yes, the world tells us is very important. But as long as we're here fulfilling our soul's mission, it's just such a reminder. Like it doesn't matter. Like it matters. It matters so much. But all the things that are superficial that we think matter don't.
And it's not to hate on social media because
you
have to remember, people have to remember that social media is the vessel, the vehicle, and then is part of your lasting soul mission to share, is part of your lasting soul mission to educate, is part of your lasting soul mission to, because social media is not going to last our whole lifetimes. But if you use it thinking it's the be all end all, it will end. If you're using it as a temporary vessel to do what your gift is, and you know that can change form 100 million times and you spent time getting better at it, then that's great.
I totally agree.
There's a difference. That's the social media, but it's the intention with which you use it.
Exactly. It's not getting caught in the superficial, the numbers and the, oh my gosh, this didn't perform well. It's just knowing that this is a channel. Yes. And one day there will be another channel. That's why I love Substack, because I actually do feel like it's the future of teaching and writing.
Yeah.
So amazing.
It's one of those things that, if you, to whatever extent you contort your real self to be in the game of something, that's when you lose.
Yeah.
If you're using everything to service you, to service your expression of yourself and your essence, then you're not worried about things shifting and changing on the outside world, because you've just spent all that time not contorting to make something work.
Mm-hmm.
You've spent more time compounding who you are, and you're stronger in yourself. So it's not time wasted, it's time gained.
Totally. That's such a beautiful way to put it. I think all of your sentences need to just be compiled into a book, which we're ready for. And you have your amazing book, but there's more books to come. There are more books to come. Oh my goodness. I was going to say, we did it. We had a conversation where we didn't even hardly touch on human design.
I know.
Which is actually really cool, because I know so many of the listeners here, you are their teacher of human design and you're mine. But it is so amazing to be able to go in all these different directions with you and show people the wealth of oracle knowledge that lives inside. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
I feel so lucky.
I feel lucky too. And every one of these conversations, I mean, aliens could have been 3 podcasts. We
I know. That's why I literally had to do the whole, now I want to talk to you about this, because that's the only way to get on another track, because there's endless to say about all of it, which is so fun. And we're just so lucky.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful to have you.
Me
and
too.
have such a dear friend in you.
Same. Love you.
You know, my whole family feels this way.
I love you, honey.
Jonathan loves you. We love you.
And thank you I felt like your audience was in the room. I felt their energy.
I know.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our tribe and our soul family. And we all make each other feel less alone.
We do. We truly do.
Hold hands as we go on this journey.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
We love you all.